ladies and gentlemen of the jury. When I was a kid, my heroes weren't Babe Ruth or Lou Gehrig. They were Clarence Darrow, Emile Zola. In other words, I have waited for this moment all of my life. Stand like I am right now in front of a jury of 12 good people, plead the case of an innocent man who's been unjustly accused. The only problem is he did it. I know it. Prosecutor Mr. McNeil knows it. Henry Young doesn't know it exactly because he can't remember it, but he won't deny that he did it. All those witnesses the prosecutor is going to bring forth will tell you so. Henry Young killed Rufus McCain. So now that we all know that, why don't we find the man guilty as charged, send him to San Quentin, and gas him, because that's what we all know is going to happen anyway. Right, Henry?
What?
There's only one problem that's going to keep us from wrapping this thing up in record time. Henry Young did not act alone. They haven't caught all the killers. You see, there was a co-conspirator, and it is because of this co-conspirator, whom we shall name in this courtroom, that Henry Young is innocent of the crime of murder.
What? Objection, Your Honor. I must protest.
I kind of figured you would.
Your Honor, this is absurd. Before the counselor is allowed to waste this court's time and this jury's time, I would request that he supply some proof or evidence of this co-conspirator.
Mr. Stamphill, can you bring forward evidence of the existence of a co-conspirator?
Not at this time, Your Honor, but it is my intention to provide such proof during the course of the trial.
He's not going to provide such proof because no proof exists. This man spent 3 years in solitary confinement, during which time no one had any influence over him because no one had any contact with him. He came out of solitary. He went directly to a shower. Then he went directly to a haircut. And then he went directly to the dining hall, where one convict had said one sentence to him. Your Honor, this does not a co-conspirator make.
I'm inclined to agree with the prosecution, young man. Unless you can justify that line of defense, I will sustain the prosecution's objection.
Your Honor, the district attorney, with his own words, has just made my case for me.
That will be the day.
Your Honor, for 3 years, 3 long, torturous years, no one and nothing had any influence whatsoever over Henry Young. No one and nothing. This was a man whose only crime was to steal $5 from a local post office so he could feed his starving sister. So he came to Alcatraz, a petty criminal who had never harmed or attempted to harm another human being in his entire life. And he came out of the dungeon a vicious, barbaric, maniacal murderer. A man who had been put into a kind of psychological coma. Within an hour of coming out of that hellhole, he did what would have been unthinkable to him only 3 years before. Unthinkable. His only thought was murder. His only instinct was murder. His first act was murder. Now, he himself was a murder weapon, but the hand that held that weapon and plunged it into the throat of Rufus McCain belonged to someone else. I point to the associate warden, Mr. Glenn, the warden, Mr. Humpson, and the institution known as Alcatraz and say, I accuse them individually and collectively. I accuse Alcatraz of the torture of Henry Young. I accuse Alcatraz of the murder of Rufus McCain. I accuse Alcatraz of the Spanish Inquisition in the United States of America. Henry Young is not going to be the only defendant here.